Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. You already know who it is. No need for introductions. And today we are going to discuss this young man here who is making headway on the social media scene. I don't care what platform you're on, he is making headway on all of them. And mainly because he discusses the relationship issues and the dating problems that we have in society right now as of this day. And a lot of people don't like that. No, they don't like some of the things that he has to say. And honestly, I've watched a couple of his interviews. Well, I've watched more than a couple. I've watched a few of his interviews, and he touches on some serious subjects that I agree with. I don't agree 100% with some of the things that someone is going to say all the time. No one does. We all have our own views and perspectives on life. But I do agree with a lot of what he has to say. But there is a large group of people who do not want to hear what this man has to say. And I want you to take one guess which group this is. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of women, because they are starting to treat him just like they did Kevin Samuels. And honestly, I knew this was coming. Believe it or not, I knew this was coming. Jeff St. James has a lot to say and a lot to teach you. That's just the truth. But some people are not willing to listen. That's been your problem. For as long as I've been on this platform, it fails to amaze me at how much some people will not listen. They will not listen to you at all, but they always have their opinion and 2 cents that they want to throw into conversations, because they're not trying to listen to you, since they know that you might be right and you might be able to change their perspective, which they don't want. Some people are comfortable within their worldview and perspective, their ideologies. They're so comfortable that they don't want to change. You have to understand something. Change is good for you, but a lot of people do not like change. They don't want to change. They want to stay the same. Yes, they're stuck in their ways, as we always say. But Jeff St. James is trying to change a lot of that. And I'm not even going to go further into it because I want him to tell y'all. But before we continue with this video, I need y'all to do 3 things for me. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share this video so someone else can do the very same thing. And if they don't, then we're going to ask the Ask a Brother podcast after them. Without further ado, let's get into this video and see what Jeff St. James has to say about some of these haters who are probably in his comments talking shit about what he has to say when it comes to dating.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's been a very, very interesting last 2 weeks. As you could imagine, a whole lot of crazy stuff's been going on in my life, and I wanted to give y'all a couple updates, as well as what today's topic would be, which is they are coming for me. They are coming for your boy. Long story short, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the feedback. I really genuinely took a lot of the feedback in about, the direction I should go in terms of how to approach certain things, in terms of how to communicate to both men and women. But the hate has been crazy. They according to those that dislike what I've had to say so far, apparently I'm a hater of women. Apparently I'm gay. Apparently I have a fake degree and I'm not a real therapist. That's news to me. So you could imagine folks is scouring the internet, looking to see how they can shut your boy down and potentially get me to lose all my income. So it's unfortunate that people try to approach things in that way, but that's public life, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't know that they thought about the possibility that I not only intentionally did this, but I intentionally wanted to get those specific reactions from them. And I had 3 traps in mind. The first of which was, number 1, Kevin Samuels. Now, I can recall not that long ago, constant thing that was said was, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And everyone was talking about, not everyone, but the ones who were like, the ones that really hated him, they were like, we don't like his tone. We don't like, how he's saying it to women. He's so disrespectful. And I really tried to make a concerted effort to not do that. Didn't matter. So it turns out one of my strategies was to prove that for many people who were against many of the true things that Kevin Samuels and 𝐓𝐡𝐞𝐲 and many of the other commentators and podcasters have been saying, that is true about what's wrong in society and our culture and within our dynamics between men and women. Turns out a lot of you, it really wasn't about tone or how to say it. You just didn't like the messenger. And you felt like because you didn't like who it was coming from or how it was packaged, you could reject the truth. And believe it or not, that was actually my goal. And to further prove that I think they really weren't interested in the truth, these were the same people that cheered when that man died. So honestly, I'm not super duper interested in wanting their praise when I saw what they were willing to cheer for. But strategy number 2, or trap number 2, is I wanted to expose the current zeitgeist that we're in presently in Western countries, especially in America. We are in a mental, verbal, cultural, and political matrix of control by Marxist, extremist, third and fourth wave feminists. We are in a gynocentric, femme-centered society culturally. And I think in the quest to kind of move us away from the patriarchy and de-center men, there was an option to kind of center both of us, to center families, to center community. Instead, the far extremists of the feminist movement decided we should prioritize and kind of center women and be female-centered. This is why you'll hear terms like, as proof of this, believe all women, happy wife, happy life. They can pretty much be allowed to define what a real man is. They are allowed to say what's wrong with men, and their feelings can be above facts, even if it goes completely against their argument or their ideology. You know, it's one of those things that's pretty much infiltrated every major area of our culture and society, from schools to HR departments, the media, you name it. And basically, the conclusion was that it was socially acceptable to point out men's bad behaviors, and we aren't allowed to do the same with women. Now, why is that problematic? Well, one, when women try to do it, they're called pick-me's, and they're told to have internalized misogyny and that they need to decenter men. But when men do it, what I've noticed both with myself and with other people, there seems to be a pattern of attack. And this was the second point I wanted to make.
He's absolutely right about this. You cannot, and when I say you cannot speak on women and hold them accountable for anything. See, I haven't been in this space for long, but I've been working my ass off to get some of these videos to y'all so y'all can understand what is truly going on. And this man right here is basically spilling the beans. He's giving out all the information for free. You didn't even have to pay for this. He's telling you exactly how it is and what kind of society we are living in today. You cannot, and I repeat, you cannot speak against women and some of the things that they do, but I have seen several videos where women are talking shit about men. Literally several videos a day. A day, not a month, not in a week, a day. Women just talking bad about men. But the minute a man gets on camera, he gets behind his camera, gets on the mic, and starts to hold women accountable for some of the things they do, starts to critique women for some of the things they do, guess what happens? They want to shut them down. Yeah, cancel culture. Where do you think cancel culture came from? It's not a masculine thing. Cancel culture is a feminine thing. It's a feminist thing. That's exactly what it is. And so some men are actually afraid to speak out against what is truly going on. But then you have men who don't care and will tell you how it is. And the reason for the fear is because you have to understand, a lot of people have to make a living. And when you get on these platforms and you speak the truth, as a lot of these men do, guess what? And that's not to say women don't speak the truth either. Yes, of course, women do speak the truth. There are women who speak the truth about men. There are trash men out here. There are trash women out here. We all know this. But see, when you try to conflate the two and say that there's more trash men than women, or there's nothing but trash men and women are so holy, that's when we know you're lying. And that's when we know you're not truly searching for the truth. You're only searching for what fits your narrative. That's why Kevin Samuels never sat right with a lot of these women. That's why they couldn't digest the information that he was giving to them. No, they could not digest it. They didn't want to. They wanted to continue living in their world of delusion. See, the truth will set you free. A lot of people are not willing to be set free. They would rather live in their cage. And so when you come out and speak the truth, guess what they try to do? Just like Jeff St. James said, They want to cancel you, so they try to search for everything that they can, where you work, your family, who you're dating. They try to dig up any kind of dirt they can on you in order to get you canceled. Why? Because you're speaking the truth. See, we are living in the lie age. Yes, lying is what they want you to do. Because women fall in love with what? What they hear. And so when you lie, you're telling them what they want to hear. Don't speak the truth or else you'll get canceled.
I wanted to expose how rampant and normalized this culture of primarily centering women and women's feelings and women's issues and women's concerns and women's perspectives. Anyone that steps out of line against it, especially men, this is typically the pattern of attack. They're called a misogynist. They're told not that, you know what, maybe what he's saying could be true and maybe this is something I as an individual woman or us collectively need to improve on. Instead, they say, nope, if I don't like what he's saying and it's about us, he has to hate women. Then they go to the second part. They'll call you sassy if you continue to engage. They'll call you gay. If you have a relationship, they'll try to figure out a way to undermine it or destroy it. They will obviously attempt to go through your past, scour the internet, find out what they can to try to expose you to hopefully destroy your credibility and kind of, remove you from the audience, so to speak. And then lastly, they'll come for your credentials and they'll try to destabilize you economically with the hope being that you will believe what we believe and say what we allow you to say. And we will do all that we can do to break you until we get you to be silent and in submission. That is the environment that we're currently operating in and have been for quite a while. When it comes to men speaking out about dating, relationships, and general habits that's happening in the culture, not when I say something about men, only when I say something about women. But number 3, and this is the one that I think probably hits home the most. I wanted to do a social experiment by kind of throwing some of these things out there during these podcasts. And I had an hypothesis that there was a rampant, very normalized, just distaste and hatred and lack of care for men and men's issues. I think based on everything we've been seeing online and a lot of these comments, I think my point has been proven. And I know this because with everything I just said so far, most of you men and women would acknowledge that in 2025, everybody knows what the term is for a strong hatred and distaste for women: misogyny or being a misogynist. Fortunately, a lot of people did not hear and or find out what the equivalent was for having a strong hatred and distaste for men. That's called being a misandrist or misandry. The fact that you didn't know or the fact that you just found out is proof that we've actually been functionally, culturally in an environment where 1/2 of the population has been above reproach and the other half are the only ones that's seen as sinners. So with this social experiment of trying to expose this rampant distaste and hatred and lack of just genuine care for men and men's issues, case in point was like paternity tests. What were many of the comments that were being said? Stop whining. Why should we care? Men created the system, so men need to, it's men's issue. Oh, that's an apex fallacy, by the way. And I also made a point in the Sharing My Truth podcast with the 2 lovely ladies. I had said the only time a lot of women will care about men is often if they are in a relationship with them, if they are related to them, or if they can control him. And I think that my point has been proven. They expose themselves when we bring up something or anything that is a benefit to women at the expense of men, and they will not and won't want it to ever change. Maya Angelou, when she said, when someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them the first time. Now, when I use the terms like feminists and third and fourth wave feminists, that actually includes both men and women, because there are male feminists, by the way.
That is a fact, and I live by those words. I even regurgitate that same phrase. When a person shows you who they are, if you don't believe them, then you will get bit. Just like a snake shows you that they're a snake, guess what? You will get bit. And everything that he's touching on right now is so true. And this is exactly what we've been speaking out against. Yes, I understand that some people do not like the way a message is relayed. There are certain content creators out there. There are certain podcast hosts out there who say things bluntly to women, and women don't like that. I get it. But at the same time, the truth is the truth no matter how it's relayed. Is it not true? Is that not true? No matter how you get the information, 1 + 1 is 2. But they want you to butter it up. They want you to put icing on it, put a cherry on the top, as if that's going to, you want to know what happens when you do that? You don't listen anyway. So it's a waste of time trying to figure out a way to go around saying it nicer so that it doesn't hurt your feelings. Y'all don't seem to understand that. See, we are living in a matriarchy. Some of the videos that I've touched on in the past are proof that we are living in a matriarchy. Everything that he's saying is proof that we are living in a matriarchy. But at the same time, y'all have to understand something. The matriarchy was not meant to lead. And I want you to take a look at your life. I want you to take a look at society, social media, everything that's going on around you. Families or lack of, the kids, these teenagers, these young men. I want y'all to take a look at how things are going right now. And you tell me how great life is for everyone. Do you want to know why? It's because we are not meant to be ruled under a matriarchy. But don't take my word for it. Let's let this continue to play out, because I guarantee you in the next few years, what did they say? 48% of women will be single and childless by 2030. You think this is by mistake? No, it's by design.
I see those individuals, those that are on the farthest extremes of only being able to see good in one sex and not the other, not being able to critically be open to critiquing both sides and seeing as both sides needing to bring something to the table to fix what's happening. We need to start labeling these people as loners. They are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and either rude and or ratchet. Male and female loners. If you come into contact with them during conversations, on social media, in person, and they are loud, obnoxious, narcissistic, entitled, and rude and or ratchet, they are loners. We have to leave them alone. We have to leave them alone on OnlyFans. We need to leave them alone in dating. We need to leave them alone in social interactions until they realize that there is value in terms of the perspectives from the other side. No, we don't need to just center men. No, we don't need to just center women. We need to figure out a way to care about both sides, both issues. And when I or other people point out a particular issue of concern, you've been socialized to believe that if the person that's sitting in front of you is telling you what you want, it's got to be true. And if the person that's telling you something you don't want to hear, it's got to be false. You got to get that out of your head. Get that out of your mental. Sometimes when you're hearing things that you may not like, I'm not saying just believe me off the rip. Don't believe anyone just off the rip. Why don't you go and test it for yourself? Go and research it. Go and look at studies. Go and try to prove me wrong, or go and try to prove yourself wrong. So those are my 3 traps. And as you can see, based off of everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks, hook, line, and sinker, they fell for it. We exposed the Marxist matriarchy that we are living and experiencing as we speak.
So I rest my case. Of course, you have people who are probably digging into his life right now to discredit him so that no one believes what he has to say. No one believes that he is a therapist. No one believes that he works with men and women. But is he lying though when he says we need to center both men and women? Y'all don't seem to understand that. I've been saying it for the longest. We need to center men and women. But do you want to know what y'all want to do? Y'all want to center just women, and you don't understand the repercussions that we're going to have to deal with in the next few years. That's why I said by 2030, watch how life has drastically changed for everyone, because we are only centering women. We are decentering men. These young boys, they are deleting themselves. Yes, men are deleting themselves at an alarming rate. These young men who don't get into relationships, who don't date, who just sit at home watching the screen all day, they're antisocial. This is what it's creating, because we are decentering men. We are decentering young boys. We already took the leadership of the male out the household. We already took that out the household. So these young men, these young boys are being raised by their mothers, and then you want to decenter their leaders as well. You want to decenter these men, discredit men, and you wonder why we're in the state that we are in right now. You wonder why women are going online day by day, making videos about not getting dates, about not getting in relationships, about men not being serious about them, taking them seriously, about men not approaching them, about men not marrying them. Y'all don't seem to understand what y'all are actually doing to yourselves, because you are doing it to yourself. You won't have no one to blame but yourself. Y'all have to understand something. If we don't put men and women back in the center and concentrate on families and promote family dynamics and promote healthy relationships between men and women, and we listen to these loners, as he labeled them, these loners, these people who don't care, these men who don't care about other men, because there are male feminists. If we continue to listen to these women who don't care about women, and vice versa, on both spectrums, if we continue to listen to these people who don't care about the opposite sex, guess what? We're going to end up even worse than we are today. And that's not the world that I want to live in. Until next time.
If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content.